What up, everybody? Kind of woke up with a huge headache, but actually some of the homebrew coffee we made yesterday is actually really helping. Last few days have been very low on sales, which is bizarre because the month before that is one of the best months I've ever had outside of Christmas. I mean, and actually not just that month, the month before that, incredible sales. Entrepreneurs out there know it's pretty hard not to get wrapped up in like how much you sold that day or last few days or whatever. Obviously, one of the running themes of this channel is whenever something you perceive as bad or unexpected happens, it is just so useful to ask yourself, how is this good? I mean, it's kind of a lesson that I'm just rediscovering all the time. Like, I'm not gonna say I was just really sad. I mean, I had, like I said, had a couple of incredible months and like saved up a ton of money. And like, there's no real reason to be like panicked or worried. But obviously, you like selling stuff. And when you go from selling a ton of stuff to selling almost nothing, it's not a good feeling. So yes, today we are rediscovering yet again the question of how is this good? First off, it's hard to know how long we're going to be talking about. You know, like, I don't know whether this patch is going to last for a week, couple weeks, a month, or things are just going to start selling like crazy again tomorrow. So, and that, to be honest, usually it's the last one. Like, the last time I made a video about sales being slow, it was like a week after that I was selling a bunch of stuff. So with that being said, you know, assuming this goes on for a long time, because it's good to assume the worst scenario and at least plan for it. We're going to be relocating the shop fairly soon. Probably within, probably 2 weeks, something like that. Obviously, if you have to move an entire shop like this, it's kind of better to do that while sales are relatively low. The second big thing that I can extract from this is, if I think about the last time that sales got really slow, actually I'm not sure if this is the last time, one of the times sales got really slow, as you know, you sell a lot over Christmas. Obviously, after Christmas, things dip off. So when things dipped off, that's kind of the era that we started just putting new things out regularly. And obviously, when sales kind of started coming back, they came back much bigger than I ever expected. And it probably had a lot to do with customers having new things to look at, new products that excited them. I've talked about this before, but the last real job I ever had was working for the guy that invented remote unlocking mechanisms for cars. He's this guy that he's probably a little bit famous in the industry, so I can say his name. His name is Steve Harvey, actually, not the comedian. He has a business still in Austin, and one of his catchphrases is, "Sharpen your swords between battles." If it continues being slow, what we are gonna do, and longtime viewers will remember this is the exact same thing I said last time, we're just gonna come out with tons of products. We're gonna do 7 out of 7 products per week. We're just gonna crank them out. And the thing is, like, that's fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like making money and producing things, but like, if I've got more time to design stuff and work on things that take a little more time, like some of the horizontal guitar hangers, why should I be upset about that? Plus, there's just obvious other things, like we can spend more time doing E-rank on some of the old listings, so it's almost effectively making them new listings. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of this stuff, if this was early on in the business, would be very much superseded by the fact it'd be hard to appreciate these things, let's say, because I just wasn't earning very much, and any dip in sales is catastrophic. But then it's like, if it gets bad enough, just get a side job. You know, as long as you're keeping your expenses low, and back then I only paid $266 in rent, specifically for this reason. It's like you can just work some DoorDash or something and make up for it. And I would do that if it got bad enough. I don't think it would get bad enough at this point. I don't think that's going to be necessary. But listen, I lived on the street for 4 years. There's no... I'll do what I have to do. Like, I'll do what I have to do to keep going. It's in me. I used to have this manager back when I worked at Jimmy John's. This was when I was living in my car at that stage. And he had dreads. He was a brother. And he was a great manager. Sometimes he'd get frustrated and he'd be like, man, these mother effers are trying to get me to go back to hustling. It's just like, man, if things get bad enough, I'll just go back to hustling. There's actually, I think Tim Ferriss talked about this. If you're like facing some difficult thing, just actually define your worst case scenario. You know, because worst case scenarios are scarier if you don't even think about them. If there's some anomalous, hard to define thing. Like the absolute worst case scenario for me would be somehow my business never sells anything again. I would not like that. That would suck. I think there's almost no chance of that. But what would I do if it happened? I would do 3D printing as a hobby and just get a job. Like, it's kind of good to realize that all those people throughout history were real most of the time. And like their worst case scenario sometimes in different times and places was like you get lined up against a wall and shot. There's very little possibility of me getting lined up against a wall and shot. Not 0%, but very little. So yeah, sometimes the catastrophizing mindset, you just gotta like actually go with it and just be like, okay, what would happen? So yeah, you know, I needed an excuse just to drink coffee, and I guess providing this rant was the excuse. Yeah, so define the downside, number one, and how is this good? Those two things will get you through so much stuff in life. Define the downside also is a good one, because like sometimes the downside is huge, but the downside is not here yet, so you can maybe do something about it. Like, let's say you have a fledgling business and it falls apart and you have to find a job, but like you haven't updated your resume, and it's going to be hard to do that, or for some reason, I don't know why it would be. Let's just say there are things that would make it hard for you to get a job, but you can fix them. Well, don't wait until your whole business falls apart. Start updating your resume now and do all the other things that you need to do. It's another reason why defining the downside is good, because you can actually start like kind of preparing for it and make it the best version that there is. It takes a little bit of courage, and that's why a lot of people don't do it, but it's really not that bad. Just start thinking about like, okay, if it all falls apart, what would I actually do? Do that. In the meantime, we're just gonna think, how is this good? How can I capitalize on this unfortunate thing? And yeah, that's a dynamic duo right there. So that's the rant for today. Another way this is good, it is both dunk day and taco day. I'm gonna do a little morning roundup, then you know what we'd be doing. Look, I would certainly rather sales be very, very big. Obviously that's the point. But I mean, we're gonna probably, you know, if the doldrums continue, like I said before, we're gonna make a bunch of new big food items. It's gonna be great content for the YouTube channel. Obviously, making big absurd objects, very clickable. It's taken quite a while to get to this point, but my mentality is such that pretty much whatever happens, we're gonna find some way of making this a good thing. And if I get a little extra time to design stuff, really spend some time on those things, crank out interesting new products that'll probably sell real well later on, that is a-okay by me. The problem is always when you just get down in the dumps and stop being proactive and just think like, oh, it's the end. It's a very self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, if you just effectively use whatever it is as an excuse to stop trying, you probably will fail. Believe me, it's taken me a good number of times to learn that lesson. More downtime, more products. more things that are going to delight my customers and hopefully you guys. How is that bad? Morning roundup. This is the rare Lady Justice wastebasket. Yes, they exist. Now, this is a Snoop Dogg. It's particularly, of course, noteworthy because Snoop Dogg's team came after me and took the listing down on Etsy, but I still sell these technically on the website, and somebody did buy one. So I have this roll of filament that came out kind of weird. You can see I put yellow marks because I thought it was kind of thin there. I have my own code when it comes to that. And we almost got a whole shark out of it, but it just wasn't quite good enough. So this is going to be scrapped. I was thinking there was a shark's worth of usable filament on here, but I guess not. By the way, that's a thing I do. Sometimes I have a roll that came out a little iffy, so I just start making kind of small stuff. Really, the best thing I could have done would be like make a bunch of ukulele hangers out of it. And the point is, you get as much usable stuff out of it as you can. And when it starts failing or whatever, then you know it's actually done. That is opposed to just trying to make a big thing out of it, because obviously, you know, it's like you're capping the risk by making smaller things. And here we've got a big Sharky. No surprises here. T-Rex skull with base. Coming out quite nice. I think this is all, yeah. It's always good to do the little bend check. Got the little T-Rex head. Alligator skull. Then we got big Sharky. And of course the coffee cup got done. So we've got all the components. We'll probably try and paint that today, or at least get the first pass. We're gonna get all the things rolling, and then it's gonna be coffee and taco day, which is a great day. So grateful for that. I'm not even trying to, like, I don't even have to work up the gratitude for that. I don't have to think about it. It's a deep instinct. Also, you guys got a little preview on that that slow cook tri-tip in the last episode, but we've got 2 more meals of that, and it's gonna be unbelievable. I think the next slow cooker thing we're gonna do, by the way, we're gonna get like a really good pork roast. A lot of times back in my days when I had a smoker, you know, I would smoke those like pork butt, pork roast kind of things, and it would just be so good. It's a very similar thing with slow cooking. We're just doing it low and slow, baby. Really been feeling the Seekers lately, and mostly I just listen to the hits. They are one of the biggest 60s bands from Australia, and we're actually gonna go into the deep cuts because they're just that good. Oh man, they have a cover of Red Rubber Ball. That'll be awesome. So yeah, here we go. We're just going for it. Oh man, a Simon and Garfunkel song on here. Wow. Super nice day today. Sun's out, fun's out. I think we're gonna continue the tradition. 3 Dog Night, baby. I actually had, I think, this exact cassette back in the day when I was a kid. Great compilation. Here we go. On to the world, all the boys and girls. This is just good times music. High top flyer in a rainbow rider, a straight shooting son of a gun. Technically, this is a school zone. I think you can get arrested for using a cell phone, but I won't tell if you don't. Joy to the world is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. 2 can be as bad as 1. It's the loneliest number since the number 1. One thing that isn't the loneliest number that you'll ever do is Duncan. Oh yeah. Show as I'm sitting here. 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 As show as I'm dunking here. Oh yeah, here we go. They had so many good hits, man. Just an old-fashioned love song.
playing on the radio. Just an old-fashioned love song. Woman shouting into you and me. Boom, boom, bam, boom, boom. Just an old-fashioned love song. To keep our dreams apart and listen to the song.
Best part.
Just an old song.
Bam, 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 bam. And Three Dog Night was cold. They weren't around that long, but their time in the sun was spectacular. Wow, taco place is real busy today. We're doing it though. It's worth it. Okay, so the car that was in front of me actually just hit me. Fortunately, I have a dash cam. They hit me light enough that I don't think it really did anything, but they did hit me. So it ended up being a little bit more of an adventure, but bag secured. Bam. Delivering the goods. Bam. Oh yeah, so good. So good. Let's package some things. Of course, we got the nice giant T-Rex skull. And here we go. Obviously black and white Triceratops. I marketed this as sort of being like something from one of those black and white 50s movies, you know, where like, you know, the Lost World, you know, they're going back to the time of the dinosaurs, and it kind of does capture that a little bit. Man, I was out getting some spray paint, and I remembered that I kind of don't have any bowls. There's a big semi right there. So we're going to the dollar store to get some bowls, because a lot of times you can get pretty good porcelain quality ceramic bowls, whatever they are, for $1. Made some good selections today. So maybe, you know, if you're just first moving out somewhere, you're a young person, you're getting your first apartment or something like that, and you need cookware, not just cookware, but you know, bowls, plates, stuff like that. The dollar store is actually a pretty good place to go. There you go, reflections. So we'll go through the bowls. This one has a nice little, it's a subtle snowflake look, but it's quite elegant. Now this was a seasonal edition, just in time for summer. Nice floral pattern, a little bit of color, very, very elegant. I wanted to get at least one big bowl. While this is plain, it's got a little bit of a rounded square look, and it's very big. This one, a little bit of a Southwest rustic look. Pretty sure I worked in at least one restaurant where the bowls looked exactly like this. We got one with a little bit of a faux Chinese, kind of a glaze or something like that. But nice basic bowl, but always a favorite. And of course, we had to get, you know, the citrus theme. Okay, we have some things to package, but I just did a green guitar snake for somebody. To me, this looks cool enough that we're gonna take some pictures and make it a product. Man, the green really just turned out, it looks like something from the Double Dragon logo or something, you know? One of those Street Fighter zones. This is like a thing in the background, you know? But yeah, I think this could be cool, you know? We might as well just make it a product. It's only a bonus. Dun, 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 dun. It's been quite a while since we introduced a new color of guitar snake, but I think it's time. Let's get those official photos. There we go, snaky snake. Somebody in the Discord yesterday wrote that they were taking my just make stuff approach, and that's really working for them. So all the more reason for me to do it. Time to use one of them bowls. This just smells unimaginably good. You can't even really fully comprehend how amazing this is. Look how unbelievably tender that tri-tip is. So good. So delicioso, sabroso. Look, you may think that there's no scenario in which you would actually enjoy cabbage, but this recipe absolutely makes cabbage unbelievable. It's really the apple cider vinegar. I'll post it in the Discord under the, there's a food section. Seriously, if anybody makes this, let me know. I post pictures. You can use basically any cut of meat. I just happened to find some tri-tip that was on sale. So good. All right, it's time to ship him off. He has done us a good service. He has been a good snaky. Very shiny bronze bear bowl. Small T-Rex skull. Here's the big German Shepherd. I think it's going gold. He is a good boy. Time to do the coffee cup. Very minimal cleanup involved. Got a pretty good gaggle today. Of course, we've got the coffee cup. Already did some of the brown. We're gonna layer it again to get it more smooth. Got a gold German Shepherd. We redded up the David. Maybe we'll slap a little bit more on there. Got the sharks. And we had a dragon that needs to be silver. So, already had one made up. We're just gonna paint it silver. And after Red David, looking fine as always. We've got a couple of sharkies, just some sharkies hanging out. And we've got the silver dragon, put another coat on there, and of course, a very good boy who is gold. Want a sneak peek for tomorrow's episode? Check this out. They cleared up that giant clog that was right here. Also, interestingly, there's all these pipes here. My guess, the giant tree trunks and branches and stuff that were here flowing and accumulating down the river, there was some kind of structure or something that got caught up in the floating debris. Interestingly, I'm trying to think what I would do with some giant pipes. I can't think of anything. Write in the comments what I should do with these things, because it seems like a good opportunity, but I just can't figure out like what I would make with them or what they would be useful for. I mean, look at these. This is almost looks like a soccer goal or something. I don't know. I'm really thinking about it. So ironically, pretty good day of sales. Sold a decent number of things, but pretty great day overall. Let's see what we got on Discord. Join below with the link. Linky link. Toasty O's says, nice Bowden extender. I love having a 3D printer and being able to design and make things I need without having to go buy them. Heck yeah. Hooks for the garden shed, a mount for my wok lid. That's legit. It never stops being fun. Knee Dragger says, the Bowden extender is a surprise and a product I didn't know I needed. Lol, you may need to add an Instapot / crockpot channel to this Discord. Feel like my air fryer may need to take a break. Awesome paint job as usual with the skulls and ice cream. Thank you. People love them, man. People go crazy. People go nuts. Let's see here. You may need to tag ice cream truck or something like that in the listings for those sweet large prints. Thanks M3 for another awesome video. Shibby, my dude, keep it up. And then, did not know what that meant. M Hussy Rocks says, thanks for walking through the tag generation process using eRank. Useful stuff. I saw someone mention adding alt tags to the images for to increase Google search recognition. What's your opinion on that? I have heard that that's really useful. People also say that for YouTube thumbnails. I've never done it, but a lot of my images do show up in Google searches. Sometimes I've had stuff that shows up at the top for very broad searches. For some reason, it's been a long time since I sold one of my Iron Maiden Eddie stands, which Iron Maiden fans know what that is. But it used to be, you could type in Iron Maiden Eddie, and my headphone stand would show up on the first page of results. I haven't checked that in a long time. Maybe it's still true, but that was pretty cool. So I'm sure the alt text probably does help, but I've never done it personally. MakerMind Studio says that Bowden Splice has potential for something else you need. You could install an octocouple, I think that says optocouple, and make an alarm circuit to make a runout sensor like you did with Jingle Bells way back when. I feel like I understood what that meant. Eudorius Ash says, are you staying up on your workouts? I got a lot of results quick from doing kettlebell workouts. Strength training with cardio added in. Keep up the good work. Yes, I am. I guess I just stopped including clips of it because I'm kind of just doing the same thing each time. JP Letty says, tri-tip, eating a little bougie today. Looks like it was enjoyed. It was so good. This is kind of common sense stuff, but if you're kind of new to slow cooking, about the only thing you absolutely have to have if you're slow cooking beef is a cut that has a decent amount of fat in it, because the fat makes it all loosey-goosey and amazing. I used to do a lot of smoking meats, I should say, and what you always wanted with a brisket is you have to have the brisket that's got like a decent amount of fat, at least on one side. Of course, you'd put it fat side up with foil and stuff in the smoker. It would slowly cook it, and if you did it right, it's just so good. So yeah, the tri-tip turned out really well. It was fairly well marbled, and I've still got one portion of it left. I'm finding each of these slow cooker meals are getting about 3 meals out of it. I almost could have stretched this one to 4, but I decided to make it like 3 really hearty meals, which is nice. So that's kind of how I'm going to be thinking about the expenses from now on. Probably the next one I'm going to do is like a pork shoulder or something like that. A lot of times that's pretty cheap, and I might go a little more on the turnips or potatoes or sweet potatoes or whatever we end up putting on the bottom. But yeah, that's the strategy moving forward. I think today, really, really grateful for those tacos. Even though it was quite a sojourn to get them, they were very tasty. Also, what I'm most grateful for, I'm using ChatGPT, like I said before, to just take pictures of every piece of food, every meal I eat, and telling it to keep track of the calories and sugar, and just quantify that automatically and put it in a chart. And it's cool because like I've been kind of estimating this. I know where I need to be, but I wasn't like writing it down or anything. And so I was just sort of estimating this before, but now I actually have like numbers. And for the most part, I'm staying really in a good range. Like I went over by like 10 carbs yesterday, or I think yesterday I was underneath my target and I was like over by 10. And my target is 100 carbs per day or less. So we're staying in a pretty good, that's not an actual low carb diet, but we're staying in a pretty good range. And I'm consistently eating less than 50% of the sugar that I could eat. I think the limit is like 20-25 grams per day, and I'm rarely going over 12. So yeah, it's like a lot of the uses for AI are kind of stupid and annoying. Some of them are cool, but this is one that's actually like, dang, that's so much better. Because it's like you could sit down and you could Google how much calories are in a portion of this, and then calculate how much a portion is, and then figure out how much you ate. Or you could just ask an AI to estimate it, and it estimates pretty accurately. It's very, very simple, and it's also like, it gives me I have so many options, especially with slow cooking. There's so many things that are just super tasty. It's kind of just putting that entire area of life on rails, and I love it. So anyway, that's the thing I'm most grateful for today. And like I said, if you want to look at my slow cooker recipes, we put it in the What You Eatin' section of the Discord. Join below. Tell me today what you are grateful for, other than my amazing recipes, because that's just a given. Write down in the comments. I like to read them, and I'll give you a heart, give you an upvote, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
what I need. This blinding adolescence I'm seeing to standing in a moment. What has been is cast aside, frozen there as time rode. I know that you must have died. Light waves surround you. Open up your mind. Time to say auf Wiedersehen. Open up your mind.